Talking now with Veronica Macedo, who is originally from South America, but you're in the United Kingdom now, over there hanging out in England. What's the situation like? We're all dealing with various degrees of this quarantine stuff and trying to figure out life. How are you hanging in over there in the UK?
Um, I'm pretty good. I haven't left the house. Well, no, yesterday, or it was the day before. I don't even know what day it is or number or anything. Uh, I went out for about maybe like 20 minutes, and then I was like, I'm pretty much sick of it, and I'm gonna go back inside. And that was it. That was my whole adventure. And I go to the grocery store every like 4 or 5 days for about 5 minutes and come back. So I'm pretty okay with it.
So you're all
To
right
be
with it.
honest, I'm
Sounds like
pretty
this is your
fine.
lifestyle.
Yeah, it's just like it's been like Lego all day, watching some movies, and I'm pretty fine. There's nothing wrong with anything for me.
So you having to back off. I mean, you fought pretty recently, so I'm curious. I mean, have you found a way to train at all, or would this kind of have been a rest time for you anyway to maybe take a little time off so close to after a fight?
Well, there's a gym in the house, so I have like trained and stuff like in while being here because there's only so much Lego you can build like sitting down like trying to put the little pieces together when you're just like, okay, I need to move because like your limbs just get just get stuck. So I have worked out in the house and it feels great. There's punching bags and there's everything that like you'd need. Um, Obviously it's always great to be in a gym with like training partners and everything, but situation it's a lot better to be safe than sorry. There's you
No
always think,
question.
oh, this is not something that's going to happen to me until it does.
Yeah,
So
best to be safe. I'm curious. Legos, by the way, was that a hobby that you had before the quarantine, or is this something that you
no,
just started doing?
no. So I did my first Lego set ever. So in South America, it's very expensive. Not so I was raised in the United States, but still, Legos are expensive. Lego is expensive. So I didn't grow up with that. We never had that. And I was in Vegas, and Dan's a huge fan, right? Has a billion sets. And then he was like, I can't believe you never built a Lego set. So he got me my first Lego set. And it was before training. I think it was like an hour before, and he gives me this Lego set. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do it just because he gave it to me, and I'll probably pretend to like it because this is for children. So I'm building it, and then I'm just like, I'm almost done, and he's just like, okay, we got to go to training, but I'm almost done. How there was like a few pieces. I was not gonna leave the pieces there not completed. So I'm like, no, I have to finish. What's wrong with you?
So you're addicted to
Uh,
this stuff now, basically.
yeah. So he has like an entire room. I'm pretty sure he has more Lego than a warehouse. Is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And we have
That's
another
funny.
one coming in tomorrow. So yeah, pretty much set for
It's,
till
it's a
next
big
year.
day. It's a big day. Well, talk about that last fight. I know that was a disappointing result, not what you were looking for. But I just want to ask, first of all, just your performance itself, the fight itself. What did you take out of that experience?
Um, mm, it, it is what it is. It's not really like much you can say. Like I a lot of it was down to lack of cardio. You know, bad performance due to lack of cardio. A lot of things I could have done better, but no energy, and that played like a huge role. I think like that's the biggest part of it, right? If you can have all these ideas and all these things that you think of doing and all this technical stuff, but if your energy is not there, you're not gonna be able to do it. And it was kind of it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard because like it being in the fight, you see all these holes and you see all these things, and you're just too tired to do it, and you just like you see a punch coming, and you're like you think about like slip to the left, slip to the right, and you're just like I can't, I just can't. I'm trying, and just that's just more like what I got from it, that sometimes that no matter how much you can prepare technically, like MMA has a lot of there's just so much into MMA that if there's like a hole that you lack, like everything would just go down that, you know, like even if you cover like this whole section of it and you feel like this is it's very strong, it's going to hold, everything's going to be great, but you have this like thing that's lacking, and that's where everything's just going to fall apart, and that's where it did.
No doubt. You were one of the last people to get to fight in an MMA fight for quite a while, it seems like, and probably the atmosphere that you had of no crowd, no attendance there. I think it's something we're gonna have to deal with for a while. So I'm just curious, having been through that, as a fighter, what was the atmosphere like? I mean, it seems like every fighter I talk to says once a fight starts, you don't really notice the crowd. You know what I mean? You hear your coach and you dial in on those things. But I gotta wonder, just like, man, maybe that adrenaline you might get, maybe that heightened focus you might get from the crowd, from the sound, from the energy. I mean, did that impact at all? I mean, what is that atmosphere like?
So, I think like what would be good, if you don't mind, would be going back like a few days further, because it wasn't only like, for example, if we talk about fights now being no crowd, you're a little bit more prepared, but for everybody during that week, it was normal. It was a normal fight week, right? Everything was normal. Sure, we've heard about coronavirus. For me, it was something, especially because I was like in Italy and in Europe, they had more cases and it was a lot more serious. But I was in Brazil, right? It wasn't really too talked about or heard about, and not really something I was paying too much attention to, or too focused on. And it was something that my dad had mentioned, and it was like, I was just like, Dad, you're paranoid. Like, calm down. There's nothing wrong. And for me, everything my dad says, I'm always like, ah, you're paranoid, right? Um, so during that whole week, it was very, very strange, because everybody was like, it was normal, right? Everybody was just acting normal. Everything was like normal fight week. Nothing happened. And then I get a message from one of my coaches. I think it was I don't know if it was like maybe Wednesday. Wayne's Friday, so maybe Wednesday like 11 p.m. And then he's like sends me a message that the governor is talking about like the event, like it might be canceled. So you think about, you're weighing in on Friday, not really sure if the event's gonna happen. You're like, you're already nervous because it's fight week. You already don't really know what's happening. You're just, everything's up in the air, and then they're talking about this disease that's like affecting everybody all over the world. So you start like, well, panicking, and start looking up online. So you're up all night looking at videos of like coronavirus and like things like that are affecting people, and you're wondering, am I gonna fight? What's gonna happen? Like, and then you tell yourself, no, I prepared for this. Like, I'm gonna face this. And then you think about, well, the staff of like the UFC, like, can they pull this off? You think about the government, and you think about like all these things, and this is something that I'm pretty sure it wasn't only me, but all these fighters faced this week, since it was like we were kind of like the test run for this. Um, so that was very strange, and then we didn't really know what was going on, and the UFC just kept messaging us like, hey, we'll keep you updated, like everything's like still going. It might happen with no crowd. It might happen with this. So I was texting Matt, and I was like, Matt, what's going on? Like, come on. So it was really strange. And then, so what they did was that they divided the arena into sections, right? Because you weren't allowed to have more than 100 people, I think, per section. So the arena was so big, it was divided into sections. So then you had like people from the ESPN desk in like a different section, and they couldn't cross. It was divided into 5. And then it would be like the fighters would warm up in the hotel, right? And like, so the hotel, like below the lobby, they had the fighters warm up there. They had like rooms there, and you'd warm up, get your hands wrapped, and then go to the arena. And in the arena, it was so hot. It was so hot. And in the hotel too, everything was just so hot. Like, I thought there was gonna be air conditioning. I think It's humid and hot, and I'm really glad there wasn't an audience, to be honest. Because if I was tired with nobody, there was an audience, I would have died. That's how hot it was. It was insane. And like I view other fighters and they look pretty tired the whole fight too. Like it was really hot. And mind you, I was living in Brazil, so I was used to the heat already. So I can imagine fighters that weren't coming from Brazil. Like it was insane. Anyway, so like it wasn't only the fact that there was no audience, that it was strange, because some fighters, they try not to even think about it, right? They just look down and they go straight to the cage. It was the fact that that whole week it was like, what's going to happen with my fight? Like, am I fighting, am I not fighting? Do I have to make weight? Will I get paid? Like, it was all of those nerves kind of like adding up that made it a very unique situation.
No question. I mean, now, as you said, you were kind of the guinea pigs. Of course, then we went into this, waiting period of not knowing what was going on. It sounds like the UFC is committed to carrying on the schedule, maybe the first professional sport to get up and running again. I mean, now that it wouldn't be so much uncertainty, would you fight again under those conditions? I mean, knowing what we're facing in the world right now, would you, if they said, hey, we'd like to book you on a card, it's going to be no crowd, we're going to have to keep everybody separated, it's, we're going to have to take all those precautions and procedures, I guess, do you think you'd be comfortable going into it now knowing what it's like, or do you feel like I'd rather wait until we get back to normal again?
See, the thing is not fighting. The problem is not fighting. The problem is the preparation. We look at a fight as just a fight, and this is something that I've done numerous times, and it's a mistake that I've committed very many times, that I'm just like, oh, I'll fight. A fight's a fight. I can go in there. It's 3 rounds, 5 minutes, no problem. I don't need to prepare. Like, I'll have a small injury or I'll have something and I won't be able to prepare properly. And I'll just say, who cares? It's 3 5-minute rounds. But it's not only that, it's everything behind it, right? Like when somebody goes, like, for example, when you do a job or anything, there's years and years, and there's preparation, and there's people that help you and all of that. And if you don't have that, you're not really going to be able to perform properly. Now, mind you, if like the other person is also not properly prepared, then it might be sort of like an even playing field, but you're really gambling your career, because it's not something like, it's not like a tournament, like a jiu-jitsu competition, where if you lose or you win, it doesn't really matter. It's all experience, and it's all about like being a better athlete. This is like something a little bit more like, if you win or lose, it's a big deal. So it's not so much about the audience, it's not so much about the disease, or it's not so much about being separate. It's about, you're not really prepared, and you're not really ready to show like the type of athlete and the type of fighter that you are.
Yeah, no question.
So
Well, it's kind
a
of,
big risk.
no doubt. It's an uncertain time for us all right now. I think we're all trying to find out the new reality. I do know that outside of your career, though, you're going to start doing a little bit of commentating with the Aries organization, from what I understand. I want to ask you about that and kind of what you think about that opportunity and that organization. Kind of obviously on hold for now, but hopefully getting started again very soon.
Yeah, I was really excited the first time. So Fernand had offered me this. It was right before, because I was supposed to fight in South Korea, and he'd offered me, and I was just like, Fernand, I can't do this. Like, it's 2 weeks before, and I have to make straw weight. I was hospitalized, and in the end, I had to pull out of the fight. So long story, but it was something that really caught my eye. Not only because it's like a new challenge, and it's something that I think it's very beneficial, because it's a hard thing to do, and it's something that you have to be really prepared about. You have to analyze each fighter. You have to also, when regards to like when you're live, you're not really able to mess up, right? You have to like analyze the punches, and you have to analyze the techniques, and if you give like wrong information, it looks bad, not only on yourself, but on the organization, and on the athletes, and on the sport. So it's a big responsibility, and I look forward to the challenge.
No question. Well, I look forward to watching it. I thought the first event was a lot of fun. I've talked to Fernand. He's got some big plans for it. So hopefully we all get back to fighting very soon. Give me an idea for you. What's ideal for you as far as your fighting career goes? I mean, had some ups and downs. Like you said, cardio, obviously you point to that as the issue. Give me an idea. I mean, it's all a little bit out of our hands right now as far as, how things go on. But, what's ideal for you? I mean, are you hoping to fight again this year? Or is the weight class still the same? Or the changes you want to make there? I mean, give me an idea. What makes sense for you in kind of getting things back on track with your own fighting career?
Yeah, well, the weight classes, things I've had with the weight classes has been more things of medical issues and things that haven't been resolved, to be honest, at all. And I just think that I need to stop avoiding and stop overlooking and stop pushing them and just take it serious and resolve them. And what I keep doing is I keep thinking that it's going to be like I can take care of it and I can fix it, and I can't, and I keep accepting fights when I shouldn't. Um, so that's just the first thing that I want to do is like I want to, whether the UFC keeps me on the roster or not, and uh, whatever my next fight will be, it's just like I want to be actually prepared for it, just medically.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully that gets all worked out. I mean, we won't pry too much behind the scenes there, but hopefully we get things addressed, and we'll see you either in the cage or on the mic very soon. In the meantime, what's is it just Legos? Is that how you keep yourself busy in the meantime? What's the big Lego set arriving?
The new Barracuda set from Lego got released. So it was getting released the 1st of April, and we set an alarm to order it like before midnight. But to be fair, like the next day when we saw it, it was already like sold out.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a good thing we set an alarm.
Big bad professional cage fighter and alarm setter for Lego test. That's the way it works out.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, Roddy, I appreciate you taking the time, and obviously stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you again, like I said, either in the cage or on the mic very soon.
All right. Thank you very much.